The Testosterone Files, my hormonal and social transformation from female to male, Max Wolf Valerio. Published by Seal Press in 2006. For all transsexual men, mainly real and impossibly brave each day, joyous, this one is for you guys. Prologue. Quote, the Joker is wild. Mark Deary deconstructs the psycho killer clowns. End quote. Italics. World Art. 1995. I watch myself in the mirror, shirt off, pants slung down past my hip bones. The scars are fading. The contours of my chest look tight. My pecs have definition. The nipples and areoles are well placed. Not too high, not too low. My areoles are small, the size of nickels. When I turn to the side, there's a slight indentation between my pecs, muscles defined, asymmetry. If I work out, I'll get more cut. When I do, the results show right away. That's different from before, when I was a woman. An old girlfriend once remarked that most men tell war stories, quote, back when I was in the war, end quote. Now I would say, quote, back when I was a woman, end quote. For 32 years I lived inside a woman's body. Although I resisted femaleness on and off throughout my life, I learned to speak the language of women, to pass unseen among them. I was both part of the world and apart from it, pure and alien, feeling male inside yet living the life of a woman. I learned a lot. What I learned is still with me, even as I transform, even as my emotional moorings shift, my body recreates itself from female to male. I am an agent provocateur behind the lines, a translator. This is the unthinkable thing, a sex change. The clinics and doctors don't try to persuade you to have one. They'll do anything to dissuade you. People like me have always existed, in every era, on every continent. In some cultures, we are allowed to assume the role and lifestyles of our preferred gender, but now we can go further than we ever could before. Because of the discovery and synthesis of sex hormones, estrogen and testosterone, which include the development of primary and secondary male and female sexual characteristics, I am able to do more than live in the world in a male role. I'm actually becoming chemically, hormonally male and transforming physically into a man. My life is one of the extravagant experiments of the 20th century. You never know whom you are talking to. You never know what you will do someday, what you're capable of. Changing sex is an act of subverting nature's implacable authority, of uncovering and displaying nature's hidden cacophony, its subtext of sabotage and dissolution. Transsexual men are real. Nature is an evolving paradigm of conflicting tendencies and escalating discoveries. Transsexuals hold a funhouse mirror up to nature. We reimagine identity, sexuality, biological sex, and gender. We get to live out our childhood fantasies. I bathe in the delightful and sensuous machinery of sexual differentiation. I look good in the rude perfume of decaying boundaries. I've gone through a number of rites of passage, and some have taken me by surprise. Although no longer subject to sexual harassment or on the street, I've been threatened with explosive physical violence, more times as a guy than a woman. I live my life inside an ongoing paradox, ambiguity and peril. Postmodernism suits me, and sorcery. A shaman has 3 marks to indicate that he or she completed initiation. Scars a new name, a secret. In many cultures, transsexual and transgendered and intersex people We're shamans and tricksters, jokers. I've donated my body to science. The joker is wild. Transsexuality is a phenomenon, awesome with low paradoxes, unknowable, ranging far from accepted cultural beliefs and practices, instigating re-examinations of identity, as well as methods and practices. Transsexuality is a phenomenon, awesome with cloaked paradoxes, unknowable, ranging far from accepted cultural beliefs and practices, instigated reclamations of identity as well as methods and practices that enable us to know or perceive identity, as well as having the agency to structure the very body it inhabits. Transsexuality is a crime of passion, a nearly savage act of body modification occupying the charged realm far beyond our cultural current obsession with safety. Transsexuals are agents, provocateurs, on the edge of a culture hurtling headlong into a century where technology will interface on an escalating basis with our bodies and consciousnesses. We are the furthest, most extreme expression of manipulation of the body, almost as though that body, that human stretch of flesh, were a piece of plastic, a synthetic, malleable substance. We restructure our glands, our body fluids, our skin, nerves, and genitals. Our lives are recovered by science, the oblique point of reference for an expanding arc of formation. We are thieves of technology for the will of an inscrutable and delicious fate. Some call it choice, others destiny. How many people have had the experience of living both as a man and as a woman? Of experiencing hormonal surges, of wearing the skin and muscles, shifting moods, social, spiritual, and historical onus of both sexes, because we have lived the impossible that was previously only dreamed of. We must demand to be known and understood. We are prophets of a richly complex net of perceptions and dialogues. We are radically violent instrumentalities of transformation concerning sex, gender, body modification, and identity. Ancient archetypes whisper to us that we are connected to archaic, abiding images of man and woman in our essence. Even from within our seeming contradictions, we intensify the archetypes of maleness and femaleness in order to see through them, to live past them, to fully, completely reconfigure their meaning. By becoming a man, I became all men and developed a new compassion for maleness and femaleness. And it is lived in this culture. What previously appeared to be sexist posturing or empty role-playing took on the texture and vulnerable complexities of a passionate panoply, richly lived real as an abiding, reasonable, rooted in experience that is lived, not conspired, contrived, or counterfeit. A reality with contradictions, genuine feelings, and insoluble, although tangible meaning. I have come to a more complete understanding of why people act in the ways they do. I am not as quick to judge men or, for that matter, women. I no longer have subtle feelings of superiority from being on the, quote, politically correct, end quote, side, bracket, in my case, the feminist side, and bracket. I'm not as dogmatic or defensive. I feel more human, although I'm actually more spectacular and strange than ever before. I feel freedom now. I have served my deepest will and shattered my own life in the course of it. Because of my transformation, I've had to re-examine my assumptions concerning sexuality and the difference between men and women, the social and biological constructions and foundations of gender identity, the motivating impulses constructing culture